everybody. Welcome again to Somerset Sports Talk. I'm Gary.
I'm Jack.
This is a presentation of Somerset County Recreation, Parks, and Tourism. And we are here at Great Hope Golf Course, where we usually are.
Yep.
And we were here last week before the Super Bowl.
Just a week ago.
Before the Super Bowl, one of us made some excellent choices.
Who might that be?
And then there was me.
I got a lucky,
Well,
or it was a highly educated guess that was right.
well,
Depending on how you look at it.
You were pretty close. I mean,
I had
on everything.
35-17.
Yep.
And the MVP being Hurts, I do.
You got it right.
I got it right.
Yeah.
But like I told you, I didn't bet it.
Ugh.
The worst thing, it's the simplest bet ever, and I'd forgotten to do it.
Yeah.
And I would have won a nice little piece of change on it.
You
But,
probably.
but oh well.
Like, I don't know
Missed
what
opportunity.
Yeah.
But it was a beat down, no
Oh, it
contest situation.
And just before, I'll just recap what everyone had. Mike, who watches with us and sometimes was on once. He had KC 28-17 in Mahomes. Steve had 34-31 KC with Mahomes. My other brother Scott got it right, 34-31 Philadelphia, but he had Barkley.
Barkley, yeah.
And I had, well, we won't have, there's no such. I had Chiefs 27-24 with Kareem Hunt being the MVP. And he, 9 yards maybe he got?
You remember when we went over and Steve said Kareem Hunt might not have been the best because they're going to be throwing a lot? Well,
yeah.
Guess what? That was pretty good info. If
he
he were here
was,
today, he'd be sitting right here talking to us.
And he was right.
And he was right. And they shut Barkley down too, although they kept running him.
Yeah.
And that was a good idea because it kept the flow of balance of the offensive plays. But
and I think they said Barkley's not going to beat us.
Right.
We'll take him out of the equation. We can handle everybody
They did.
else.
They did.
They did, but they didn't handle Hurts.
Well, that's why.
Yes.
When you think about the competition elements and the competitive, positioning of who's who, they had other options.
Right.
And Hurts played a fantastic game.
Again, great game.
And although the argument could be made that the defensive line, front four, should have been, as a unit, the MVP.
Yes.
Because they were just dominant.
Dominant.
You couldn't. It looked like they were playing a high school front line.
Yeah.
They were in that backfield it seemed like every play. And Mahomes, as good as he is, there's no great quarterback unless you got a great line.
Right.
That's all there is to it. If you don't have time, you can't get it done.
Even a serviceable line.
Serviceable.
I don't know. It's like they didn't show up. Like Philadelphia's
So they
line
didn't blitz
wasn't.
one time.
They did once.
Or one time they did.
At the end, Baum
But
came
at the
in.
end, yeah, that's right. But for the most part, they didn't need to.
No, they didn't. Yeah.
So they got all those guys covering.
But I didn't see that happening.
But KC didn't even try to run.
Yeah, that's
The other part. But I guess when when they got nothing, it's hard. But they might have just been able to push back. Because if the front four knows every play's a pass,
yeah,
I'm sure they have a little bit different scheme that they run.
Yeah.
And man, those guys were they look like they've been just like on steroids for days getting ready to go in there.
And again, I didn't see them being that dominant in other games.
Right.
Like they played the Packers, they weren't that dominant.
No. That's right. They showed signs of it.
At times,
but they rose to the occasion.
Yeah. And they played.
And if you think about it, sometimes the matchup shows the vulnerability to a greater degree, meaning that KC's front line there on the offensive blocking side is weaker than maybe Washington's was or Green Bay's was. So the penetration element wasn't as great for Philly, so they couldn't get to the quarterback as quickly.
But you didn't see that. You didn't see that all season for the Chiefs. Like Mahomes never had the pressure that he had in the Super Bowl. So like, were they just all down, or were they?
But I remember Pacheco in the early part of the season was being used a lot.
Yeah.
And he's a bulldozer. He's a straight-on, heads north-south runner. You don't go sideways.
He likes to run downhill.
He goes, they say, but he's strong enough to do it. Then he got hurt, and he was out, and that's when they went and got Hunt off the couch.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't playing.
Yeah.
He came back, did surprisingly well for
Did
what
well.
he had. But they did have schemes where it wasn't just throw right from the get-go. And that's what it was in this. This is what Baltimore did in the playoff season, the playoff last year in the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
They didn't run hardly
They
at
stopped
all.
running.
And one-dimensional offense against good defenses doesn't work in the NFL.
No.
Because they figure it out, and they cover the spots, they disguise the coverages, and that's when the picks. I mean, look at the picks.
Yeah.
Mahomes doesn't throw picks.
Yeah.
2 or 3 in the first half, whatever it was.
And like a couple might have been pressured. I can't remember, but the one, he just was off.
He was off, yeah. But he kept. I mean, the one that he threw across the center, he was being hit from behind and going down. Didn't have it. And then DeJean, or whatever his name was, he had a line on that first one with a pick six.
Yeah, I don't think he saw
pick sixes in the first quarter never bode well for the team that gives it up. So.
But then you're down and you have no choice. You're not running well anyway.
Well, that's right.
So now you have to throw.
That's right.
And then the line just didn't hold up.
No. And it was a dominant performance right up to where they literally took out the starters.
Yeah.
And then Mahomes was able to throw
ones.
a couple of long ones, which helped me greatly, by the way.
I'm sure.
Worthy caught a very long pass.
Yes.
And I had him in one of those giveaways to share in $1 million. And
there you go.
I got a $46 payoff for nothing for picking him to catch the longest pass.
Yeah.
Hey.
Good choice.
Good for me.
That's right.
It was about the only one I won, but anyway, it got me a little bit healthy.
Yeah. So, yeah, just, I guess, dominant. There's not a lot you can talk about.
No, and everything I've heard
every
so far
phase was dominant.
there's nothing but, I heard Belichick, well, you know, they're dominant. That's all I heard out of his voice.
Yeah.
Defense was dominant. And,
Yeah.
And defense, what do they say, wins championships,
Sure.
right? You know,
Yeah.
And that just goes to show. So next year, I'm already hearing the talk where, all right, this draft doesn't have a lot of quarterbacks, you know, receivers, you know, maybe a couple.
Right.
They need linemen.
Yes.
They need defensive help on
Yeah.
all the teams, you know, down
that's the
across
big
the board
thing
there.
is you got to get.
So you'll be seeing a lot of high draft picks in the big boys coming out to be doing their thing, hopefully in the future.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's weird that, like, the Chiefs were so good, and then they lay an egg, and now people are wondering, questioning. Now,
Listen.
Andy Reid did get outcoached.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, he did.
And so now
But
it's
it goes
like,
back to what Vermeil said. I get good players, all of a sudden I'm smart.
Yes.
He goes, I was dumb 2 years ago, now I'm smart.
Yes.
But I got a lot better players now.
Yeah.
They seem to make coaches smart when they have good players. Now, so you have a dominant situation where a scheme was put in place, and there's nothing like momentum in big games. The athletes are fueled by adrenaline, and in those kinds of scenarios. So when remember we talked about it, if Philly got off to a big start, which they did, the game was over. And it was. Yeah. It basically fit the exact description. Yeah. If it had been gone the other way, where there was a Hurts, you know, bounced off a helmet or something and went the other way for a pick six, I think it's a whole different game.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but maybe so. Those front four, or, you know, the defensive four might felt a little different, or they got frustrated, and they're, you know, sports is so much. So I got to play the games. You can't predict.
But when
things kind of go in order of what you think they can achieve, and that's where coaching is huge.
Yeah.
Because they have a plan, and they make the players buy into the plan, and if you do your job, that's where Brady was so great.
Yeah.
Which is the leadership element of when he's got talent. He didn't have all the great talent, you know, even of the Eagles, and he was able to execute. But he had time. That front line, you rarely saw Brady get tackled.
And what, two of his 3 losses were what? Against the Giants, who had outstanding defensive line. And put a lot of pressure on them. So
pressure just demoralizes and neuters anybody throwing that ball. Doesn't matter who they are.
So,
but it's so funny you say that the KC aura.
Yeah.
Literally in a half. Because, you know, Vegas, I don't know what the percentage money, I think it was close to 50-50. But when it came to the picks, everyone that I saw, the gurus and all
Yeah.
the guys talking for all day, for so many days.
8 hours.
It's just
before
amazing
the
they can
Super
do
Bowl.
that.
Yes.
But they also, can't go against Mahomes. Just can't.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
I got to. So you see 5 out of 5 KC.
Yeah.
Nobody even, because they just were fearful that it would be the same old kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you can't
But
bet
then,
against him.
In one half, and then the second half, in one they said that who was it? Chris Sims said he was down on the field and he saw Mahomes yawning, or somebody saw him. No, I can't remember who it was. And they said, "Whoa, is he into this?" Or now yawning can be a way of dissipating
Nervous
energy and all that other stuff.
I do that all the time.
But they said he came out flat. He just didn't look like he was
He might have
into
been.
it. And the whole team and that's coaching too.
Yeah.
And maybe there was a sense of, boy, we've been here so many times, we don't have to
Right.
worry about this.
We've been down 10.
They almost
nothing.
maybe downplayed it too
We've been
much.
down 21-0. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that 21 is a lot different
Yeah.
than 7.
Yes.
They had a lot of one-score games over the course of the season.
They did.
But now the talk of he's the GOAT, he's going to surpass Brady.
Wow,
It's all calmed down.
I had that on the
side,
list.
So
Mahomes versus Brady
you're only as
debate for
good.
the
My
GOAT.
mother used to say when I played competitive golf and I was, on a high or on a low, and she used to say, yeah, well, you're only as good as your last round.
Yeah.
So your reputation is on the line every time you play.
Yeah.
And this is, for the whole off season, he's going to be now. Well, I guess you won't talk about it, but he's still great.
Well, yeah. And that
So-
everybody seems to forget that
He's still got unbelievable.
okay, Phil,
One
maybe
game,
the matchup wasn't
one
good.
game.
Yeah. And then I didn't even know this was a debate. Like Mahomes
It's not.
and
Not
Brady.
yet. He doesn't have the life history yet of being in the league long enough.
But he's now 3-2 in the Super Bowls, I believe.
He is.
So, and Brady was what, 7-3?
Yes.
And then somebody was saying how he would become the GOAT if he won 3 in a row.
Yeah, but that's, I think, hyperbole. I think it's...
And Brady
it's just-
never did that.
Right.
Okay, well,
And the
It's-
fact that Brady was calling the game
yes.
was another thing. It was
Yeah.
is he not unhappy that things are going like this?
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
Because he doesn't want to
In
see
the
his
back
record.
of his mind, yeah.
Bro, he
He
wants
don't- he wants to be
wanted
the
get
GOAT.
all 3. Oh, no.
And you know what? I don't even know if Brady's the GOAT. Brady's the greatest winner
It's the greatest winner.
in the NFL.
The whole
Hands
idea of
down.
having the greatest of all time in any sports era that spanned the time that
Yeah.
football has, it's just it's recency biased,
Yes.
And I watched Joe Montana, I watched John Elway as
Yeah.
you did,
Yes.
watched Brett Favre,
Yep. Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw. I mean, you can go down so many great players, Roethlisberger. I mean, there were some real go-to guys.
Yeah.
And they had long careers, which is always an indicator of greatness. If you can stay in the league a long time, then you're doing something right.
Right.
And to say, well, this guy's better than this guy, okay, statistics are there, but statistics, can be blown out of proportion too.
Yeah. And again,
So-
I don't know, 3 in a row has been done before, by the way.
3 in a row.
Yeah. Championships.
Oh, championship, not
Not
Green Bay.
Super Bowls.
Yeah, Green Bay did it. That's right.
Green Bay did it twice.
Yeah, before the Super Bowl.
Our good friend Curly Lambeau, I don't know him. 29, 30, and 31.
Okay, 29, 30, 31.
And then-
See, it's all recency bias.
and
We
then
don't know
Vince-
these things. We got to remember these things.
I still think the greatest coach ever, Vince Lombardi,
Yeah,
65, 66, 67.
Yeah.
That was the last NFL championship game,
yeah,
and then the first 2 Super Bowls.
yeah.
And who was the quarterback for all 3? Art Starr.
That's right.
So
He doesn't get any goat
he does.
treatment.
Yeah, where's his GOAT stuff?
And that's back when one of the things that I saw was when they were replaying some of those old Super Bowls.
I love watching those.
Terry Bradshaw took a shot
Oh yeah,
to the head
Knocked him
on
out.
that John Stallworth throw.
against Dallas, right?
I think it was, yeah. But
One of them.
today, that hit would be like arrestable.
Yes.
You know, it
Oh,
would
yeah.
be a crime.
Yeah.
You could get taken away for it.
Yeah.
Because it was so premeditated, and he was running it, boom, he
And
just
they
used his
put
head.
and it's so funny watching those.
Those
you
guys
see
were
these hits.
punished
Yeah.
beyond.
And so
oh my
don't
God.
tell me they were plumbers and carpenters
Ah.
and insurance salesmen.
Yeah.
Back in the day, those guys were nasty because
Oh
they
my
could
gosh.
be nasty.
Absolutely.
If like I always remember seeing Art Donovan
Yeah.
from the Colts on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
Then he'd be telling story. Now
Yeah.
you don't know how much he embellishes it,
Yeah.
but if half of what he says is true,
Yeah.
those guys took it,
Yeah.
took it out on each other.
You know that
So-
with Lombardi, bring Lombardi up. Local guy, I think he's passed away now. Tom
Brown.
He what a man.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever know him or talk to him?
No, I didn't. I always
I
regret
had
that
the
I
great
didn't.
fortune of him being in his prime with his league, his rookie league, and both my children played year round with him for about 4 years.
Baseball, right?
Baseball, flag football,
Oh, he did them all.
and basketball.
Okay.
And he had a league every season.
Yeah.
And sometimes he had two versions of it, like in the springtime he had a spring and then summer league for baseball. And he was just, and he let the kids play and he rotated all the positions so his brother, who was 10 years younger than him, was my first basketball coach
Oh, okay.
in high school. And so when he found that out, we had a lot, to talk about,
Sure.
to share that. And so we had a lot of really meaningful conversations. And I always had a camera with me because I always took video of my kids. I mean, thousands of hours of video,
Yeah.
ultimately. But the reason I'm getting to this is that he was elderly at that point. His knee was blown out and all this. But then I saw an article where he was graduating high school or he's just coming out. And you talk about, he was no plumber.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
He was a physical specimen.
Sure.
And he played safety for Green Bay
Uh-huh.
in 2 of those championships.
Yep.
Or at least in the 67 one. And he went, when Lombardi went to the Redskins in 68, I think it was, he went with, Lombardi said, I'll come, but I want you to come with me because he was the safety.
Uh-huh.
He said he's the smartest safety I've ever had.
Yeah.
And he also played professional baseball. For the Senators for a year. So this guy was I mean, and I've met other of these people that are of the older generations, and they're just so disrespected because nobody knows, and they don't brag about it.
Right.
There was a guy when I worked at Delaware. His name was Costin Shockley, and apparently, and I saw an article of him, and he was one of those phenoms in high school. And back in those days, there was only 8 major league baseball teams.
Right.
And he was recruited by like 6 of them because he was that good. But he didn't want to go away. And he had his girlfriend at home, and so
Sure.
he went away for a couple months and he said, I can't do this, and he never played
Yeah.
because he just couldn't handle it. And they didn't pay anything back in those days.
Yeah.
Because then you had to go have another job, which is why these guys got, what you're talking about. Anyway, that's an aside there for history lesson.
That's right. You talked about Tom Brown. So
But
that's
history,
a
history,
Packer. We always talk about
history
Packers.
goes away
Yeah.
unless it's talked about
Right.
and remembered.
Yeah.
And in this world now of all this information, Ken Burns is about the only one now that tries to do it on a national scale, where he goes and really dives deep back into the
Documentaries,
history
yeah.
of the sports and
His baseball
shows
is-
the people. I just heard
is
something
phenomenal.
about Bill Russell, how active he was back in his day for the civil rights
Oh,
movement.
very much
and,
so.
And unless you're kind of reminded of that, you don't remember how great that guy was.
Yeah.
Both as
Well,
an athlete and as a person. So.
I just wrote his name down because this is what I want to say. Bill Russell has won the most championships,
Yeah,
of
most
anybody.
championship period.
but he is never in the GOAT conversation.
Nobody says anything about it. And he played
So-
against Wilt Chamberlain, who
For a
was
lot of
taller than
those-
he was for
yeah.
a lot of those years.
Yeah,
Now the others were a lot smaller than he was,
but
but he played against that dude. So-
well, they had big men all the way through.
Oh, they did, yeah.
Yeah, there weren't as many
No,
because
I
there
know,
weren't as many
right,
teams.
right.
But nobody brings his name up as the GOAT. Like Brady's the GOAT because he
Right.
won 7.
Again, because it's
I-
before the
I don't know.
true
I don't know if I
TV
could
era.
pick a GOAT.
You can't.
I like Montana never lost.
Love Montana.
You know?
Love Monte. He was great.
And then some Kansas City apologist was on Dan Patrick talking about, wow, in 3 straight championship games, they scored like 20 points. And I'm like, okay, how was he in the Super Bowls?
Yeah.
When he got there?
That's
How,
right.
you know,
You
you don't always get there.
got to just, sports is sports, and you can debate till
Sure.
you're blue in the face.
Right.
And the beauty of the sport world, typically, now some sports are judged, but ultimately there's a number that's assigned through the judges.
Right.
The numbers ultimately are the defining element of win and loss.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in this GOAT conversation, they become the defining of who's better than who because he
Yeah.
had more completions, he had more this, he had more that.
But-
But it doesn't always mean that.
But you can't sit there and talk about him being the greatest quarterback when all week you were talking about defensive line and offensive line and
Yeah.
championships are won by the defensive line
Sure.
and offensive line. Then, okay, then who's the best offensive lineman
Yeah.
ever? Because that guy should be the GOAT.
Yeah, right.
Because he's letting Brady throw the, they're letting Brady throw the ball.
Flip the script, put Hurts in Mahomes' spot. He ain't no MVP for that game.
No.
So
Yeah, same thing.
it's a
would
team.
happen.
It's a
Yeah.
team effort.
And I know
Now the
that
quarterback's important.
they get
for
most
sure.
of the blame and most of the credit. I
Most
get
of the
it.
money.
And most of the money.
So,
But
and maybe
yeah.
rightly so. If the jobs are being done and he does that position gets time, then it's the matter of accuracy and execution.
Yeah.
And he's historically top of the level for
Right.
that. And he knows how to win, and he's got that spirit. And he's a leader of men and leader of the team, and he, he's still great. He's going to continue to be great. He's only 30 years old or whatever he is. He's got at least
Yeah.
another
28, 29.
whatever he's got, another 10
Yeah.
years probably if he can stay healthy.
And it always comes back. I always come back to Aaron Rodgers. Well, this might be an aside too, but when they were in the championship games that they lost, they lost on an onside kick that some guy wanted to be the hero and jump up and catch the ball in Seattle when Jordy Nelson's right there with his hands ready to catch it, and then the guy goes up
I remember that.
trying to be the hero
Yeah.
instead of blocking like he
Right,
was
it
supposed to.
Yeah.
And then against San
Forgot about
Francisco,
that. Wow.
against San Francisco, the block punt.
Yeah.
Neither one of those
Yeah.
Rodgers' fault.
Yeah. That's right.
And I don't even know if it was Favre or Rodgers
Yeah.
with the onside kick in Seattle. I don't remember anymore because they blended.
Oh,
Because
no
it was
doubt.
30 great years of
Right.
quarterbacks.
Right.
But-
He's spoiled.
Yeah.
For sure.
But so and again, it comes like, well, he didn't win this game or that game. Well, he didn't lose it either. It
Yeah.
was the
Yeah.
other guys,
But
So,
they're always
yeah.
the focus. That's why they get paid the big money.
okay, one other Kansas City Chief we got to talk about, and this one is kind of still baffling to me. Is Travis Kelce, and should he retire? Is the question being asked? And I saw a headline that said, the Chiefs want to know soon, within
Right.
the next 2 weeks, what he's going to do, and what should he do, and I didn't think he was. I did notice whenever I watched him play, they substituted him out a
Yeah.
lot more than in the past.
He's aged out.
And I don't know if he's done. And I like I'll give credit where Dan Patrick said they should do like they did with Gronk. Yeah, just show up around the playoffs and
Right. Right.
and be healthy and be
Right.
and like that's kind of what they did with Gronk. I think
Yeah.
he even retired and then
Retired,
came back.
and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'll help you out."
So I don't know if he's done. I know he's got a lot of opportunity, just like his brother has had a lot of opportunity
Yeah.
when he retired.
Oh yeah. He's gonna have way more.
Well, yeah,
Depending on what he does with
well,
his relationship world.
that's
but,
right. That could be a full-time
could
job
be a
in its
full-time job.
career in
Just
itself.
being the
But-
husband
yeah.
could be a full-time job.
But I don't know. I like watching him play. I kind of like his attitude.
Oh, he's fantastic.
So I hope he stays.
He's 6, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So he's been in the league a long time.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of miles on that body.
and
so.
the tight end position, there's so many over the middle bangs
Yeah.
and the hits that you just got to take the toll.
And
on
I
it.
think he's also decent blocker.
Yeah.
Or gets involved, and it's a lot of tight ends sometimes don't get into the block.
Again, I think it goes back to the adrenaline and the excitement for what you're doing, and he may have just run out. And they say that these athletes they don't know when. Some of them just don't know when to retire.
Right.
But I guess maybe they hit a point where they start to doubt it, and then that's where I think he is.
They don't look forward to it as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
once you're thinking about
what's the upside for him?
Yeah.
Going forward.
Yeah.
You know, could
one
he
more
get
Super Bowl? Can they get one
well,
more?
he could get hurt massively too. You know, he could get in a position where he didn't really need to play and decided to play, and then it really turned back on him. But he just you listen to the analysts and they say he's a step slower.
Yeah.
He doesn't look now. 2 weeks ago,
he wasn't.
He was the star of the game.
Yeah.
In the I guess divisional round when he was catching all the passes, running for touchdown. He got three touchdowns. So then he was back. Fountain of youth. He's back. And then 2 games later, he's done.
He's done. Yeah. Which I see that.
And he was interviewed during the week in one of the radio shows, Florio's show, I think it was, where he was like, I want to play. Oh, I love. I get to see him play another 3 years.
Yeah.
And then after the game, like, oh,
yeah.
So could be just an emotional
talk to somebody.
response.
Yes,
Exactly.
after the Super Bowl loss.
You got to give him a little chance to decompress.
All right. One other thing. Well, 2 other things. Starting now, who would you want as your quarterback?
Okay. Giving me choices.
I'm going to give you a bunch. Or rank these guys, if you will.
Oh, the old ranky.
I got Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar, and I threw in Jaden Daniels just because he got them to the pretty far into the NFC Championship. So which one,
I'd say my gut reaction right now, where he is in his career and the potential of the team, if they get a little bit more defensive help, would be Lamar.
So you think he's...
Look, the guy won. He won another MVP this year, but he just didn't get the prize.
He didn't win it. But that could be said for a lot of people.
And he amazingly, because I've watched him from the start. When he was drafted, they said put him at tight end or put him at wideout.
Yeah.
Because he's no quarterback.
Right.
And he fought for it through his mother, and she was his agent and the whole thing, apparently, right? And look what happened. And Hurts was kind of the same way coming out of Ohio State, where they said, well, maybe he's better in
Oklahoma.
Or was it was
Alabama,
Ohio
and
State.
then his last year at
Oklahoma. I'm sorry, that's right.
Yeah.
So then, at that point, again, he fought for it. And I remember he was in his first year when Wentz was kicked out and they made him the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
He couldn't throw the deep ball. He
Right.
was inaccurate.
Yeah.
He could run like a crazy man because he was strong and fast. But boy, did he work in the offseason and learn to throw the ball, as did Lamar. Lamar did the same thing. So I see in those two continual progression in their careers to get better. And I think Lamar's got 2 more years of being the guy that can literally carry a team on his back.
Yeah.
I don't see Mahomes that way anymore. I think he needs help.
Recency bias.
And I thought that the whole year.
So
I thought KC was smoke and mirrors the whole year.
I know.
They won because they were just who they were, or they got lucky and all that. But that all got flushed out in that game where they didn't get lucky anymore and they just plain lost.
So
what happens going forward? Now Mahomes will always be consistent, but I think he's lost a step. I think he's prone to injury with that ankle because he keeps playing on it.
Yeah.
And potentially, he could go down and be gone for a full season going forward. So if I'm picking a guy that I think is going to be healthy, dodge the hits, be competitive in every game, his fire is lit, I think Lamar is the guy.
Okay. So you got Lamar. Who else who would be second then? You got Mahomes.
I'd say Burrow.
Hurts. You like Burrow?
Burrow's tough. I mean, I would take Burrow in a second.
Okay.
He's on such a bad team as far as the investment
Yeah.
in the players and
But
the
a couple of years ago,
infrastructure.
they were in the Super Bowl.
Well, I know, because
You know,
they did have,
and
well,
then-
they had rookies. They had Higgins and Chase, and now they're no longer
Yeah.
rookies.
Yeah.
And they're top two in the whole league playing on the same team.
Yeah.
But not for much longer.
No.
Because Higgins is going to be going out and
Yeah.
getting his due.
So you got Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, and Daniels left.
Well, I would say that as far as an upside, now, I'd like to go with Jake Daniels because of my bias with the Redskins.
Yes.
But it's going to be a rookie year, potential for this rookie, this second year sophomore slide or whatever they call it, where defenses figure him out. He can only do so much. But physically, he can create and carry a team on his back at this point. Now, can he continue to do that? Some of that will have to do with, again, who they get as far as the receivers and just the whole team. The team is a new team, and they're going to continue to be new every year, so it's hard to predict there. So I would put him down, sort of as a
Last guy.
next guy. Yeah, I mean next tier. Next tier.
And
Top of the next tier.
That's why I threw him in. He's young,
Top
but he
of the
got
next
him
tier,
pretty
yeah.
far, and he's got talent.
I would say Allen would be my next choice, and then
Okay.
Mahomes, and then who else is left? Can't believe I put Mahomes
Hurts.
that far down. Hurts, yeah, Hurts would be bottom.
All right. So if you had to rank these as in, like, their career, not lifetime achievement, but where they would be, like next year, if it was your quarterback, you would take this guy. So you take Lamar first.
Right,
Then if you couldn't get him, you take Burrow.
right.
And then Allen,
Yep.
Mahomes, Hurts, and Daniels. Solid. I take Burrow, and I'm not.
I know, man.
I don't know a lot about him.
Got one
but
for you.
Burrow-
Have a good weekend. You too, guys.
Burrow seems like he lit it up this past year. If he's on a good team,
He lights it up every year.
yeah,
That's good.
They got a chance.
flat, just
He's
good.
not much of a runner, but
No.
he's a good passer.
He is an amazing passer.
I still think Mahomes has a couple of years left in him.
Oh, no, I only got more to come.
So I got him second. I got Jackson third. Hurts fourth, even though he seems to rise up in big games.
Well, he's got
the
that.
regular season, not always, but in the big games.
That's correct.
So then I got Hurts, Allen, and just Daniels because
Yep.
he's so
Yep.
young. All right, finally, our way too early picks for next year. And this time I'm going to keep them somewhere where I can remember.
Yeah, dude.
Because I think I had Kansas City, San Francisco. I don't even know.
I think I had Baltimore and San Francisco for this year.
It might have
last
been,
one.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's
I will
what
try to remember this and keep
Yeah.
this.
How San Francisco fell on a hard time. So.
Oh boy, they better rebound in a hurry.
Well, they're losing Debo.
Yeah,
It's Debo Samuels.
he wants up.
And Purdy's trying to get paid.
He better
but
have a good
He
year.
better be careful
Yeah.
what he asks for.
Really?
Because he might be still on his rookie contract if
That's
he's not
right.
careful. But next year, okay, let's see. Who's going to make the right off-season moves and move up? I don't know. I don't know. See, I don't know the player scenarios in Philly as far as where they are in their contracts. I don't think
I
anybody's.
think they're young. I
don't think anybody's up on
no,
free agency at this point.
Yeah, I think that they have
And
everybody under
Saquon's going
contract.
to come back for sure.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm sure he's under contract. And gosh, it's hard to think that they'll not be in the mix for the Super Bowl again next year. I'd like to see the local teams, Baltimore and Washington, be fighting it out. I think either of them, if they
That would be
hit the
interesting.
right stride, they could win.
Yes.
I think Kansas City's going to have an off year next year. Burrow doesn't have the infrastructure and the ownership to
Not yet.
take him
Yeah.
to the top.
Yeah.
He'll always be competitive.
Or the money.
Yeah, they just don't invest in their players the way they need to do that. San Francisco, I don't think there's really
Nah, I don't.
something there
No.
that's going to. I think McCaffrey's probably busted up so much he ain't playing anymore.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
Who
surprised
knows?
if he retires.
Yeah, who knows how much he's got in him.
'Cause, I mean, that guy's been, wow.
Yeah.
Been beat up and hurt so many times. So I'm going to go with Philly as a repeat, 2-time, and then the three-peat. The talk will be back in action for 27,
Yeah,
right?
Jalen Hurts, the GOAT. He's won 3. See, what happens if Philly wins 3 more? Is all of a sudden Hurts the GOAT?
Oh, my gosh.
Because if Mahomes is the GOAT.
That was the criteria of this one.
That's what they were saying. That's the reason, because something no one else has
But going
ever
to
done.
7 straight championship games is a pretty healthy, back you
Yeah.
2 if you win
Yeah.
3 in a row. That's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah, he's
good.
done other things than that.
But,
So you got Philly against?
Gosh, who's going to come out of the AFC next year? I said Baltimore. I can't. The Bills are just they're just never going to reach it. I'd say Baltimore.
You got who's going to win that?
Baltimore. Lamar's going to win.
You going to win one? All right. I got Detroit and the Ravens. I think
Isn't
Detroit.
that funny? I forgot all about Detroit.
If Hutchinson went,
Hutchins is coming back.
oh yeah, he'll be ready. That was a big loss
Huge.
for them because you talk about defensive
He
line
was
play.
a game record.
Yes.
He could change a game.
Plus, sometimes it takes steps,
Yeah.
So they got the steps, and then,
Yeah.
But with that, and I like, Dan Campbell's crazy, but I like him as a
Oh,
coach. I think his players like him.
motivated.
I got Detroit and the Ravens. It's either the Ravens or the Bills. I don't see anybody else making big strides up. I think you're right, Kansas City might
I think they're not
drop a little bit.
I don't know. Who knows? They'll
But
probably
you
go
can't count
undefeated.
out Mahomes. Yeah.
Go undefeated next year.
And I got Detroit winning the whole thing.
Well, that would be a great story.
It would be. So,
And the NFL needs great stories.
yes,
Because it makes it more interesting.
very much so. So, all right, that's it. That was our
There we go.
post-Super Bowl show. If you have any questions, comments, send me an email, ghicks@somersetmd.us, and we'll respond, and we'll probably respond on air. So if you want to be a part of the show, same thing, send me an email. We'll talk, and we'll see where it goes. But
If you have any good weather,
send it this way.
Send it this way.
That's right.
We're in for a little longer winter than we all want. for
It's
sure.
all that groundhog's fault.
Well, shoot that thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, don't let him out of his burrow
I
so he
shouldn't say
can't
that.
see
Don't
that.
shoot it.
Don't. That's right.
Leave him be.
So, all right, that's it. Until next time, thanks for watching. And until then, be a good sport.
Have a good one.